Hey, folks. Good morning. Was I supposed to wait?
Well, no.
Is that what you said? Anyway, here we are. Good morning. Tuesday, October the 20th. Do you hear that? October the 20th. Man, we are just flying through. Good to be with you this morning. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope you had a blessed Sunday, whether you were worshiping with us or somewhere else. Want you to know that we are back. We have been back. We want you to come and join us and be a part. And we've had some awesome worship times together and hearing from the Word and some great testimonies this past Sunday about how God is moving, what He's doing in people's lives. It's been good. It's been good. Last week was a revival. This week we're going to kind of get back onto somewhat of a normal schedule. Today we do our morning devotional and then our hope, prayer, and blessing time this evening. Wednesday night we have our Zoom Bible study. We'll be in Matthew chapter 6. Zoom Bible study, Matthew chapter 6, starting at 6:30. So if you want to join us, make sure to do that. And we'll be good to see you on as we talk and discuss and think out loud. We'll be both in person and live. So if you want to come to the church, you can be live, and we've got tables that are spread out, and you can sit and talk and think out loud and discuss with us, and you get to see everyone else on the screen as well. So if you're just on Zoom, all you get to do is see me. I know that's not very exciting. So anyway, join us if you would Wednesday night at 6:30, and then again Thursday night, our devotional time and our hope, prayer, and blessing time. And then we're right back at it. We're right back into Sunday. So the weeks are going by faster and faster. I want to remind you that we are preparing for trunk or treat, getting everything put into order, and the plans are set. Pastor Missy will be having a quick little powwow for those who are going to be involved this coming Sunday, right after church. And I'm going to encourage her that she's going to do it on Zoom as well, so Zoom and in person. So we have both people if you're not going to be in the service. I think most of you will be there, but that's not always the case. So plan on that. It's going to be good. It's going to be really good. We're still taking donations for candy or even monetary donations to help us purchase candy or different things like that. We're again providing hot dogs and popcorn and practicing social distancing and all that good stuff. So it's going to be a great day. Looking forward to an awesome time together. So you don't want to miss out. This year it's on a Saturday, so it's 1 hour earlier. We normally do it from 6 until 8. This time we're going to do it from 5 until 7. That means it's going to be a little bit lighter, which will be fantastic. So we'd love to have you come out and be a part, or just come and walk through and say hi and visit. And we want to see you. It's important that we gather together as the body. And this is going to sound maybe a little brash or harsh, but if you can go to the grocery store, you can go to church. All right? If you can go to the grocery store, if you can go to Walmart, if you can go to Target, if you can go to Publix or Winn-Dixie or wherever, if you can go to those places, you can go to church. So we want to see you. We want to worship with you. We want to be a part. All right. Well, let's jump into our time for this morning. Got a quick joke for you as we start. Always got to start with a quick joke, right? Here's our joke for this morning. Are you ready? What do you get when you cross a dyslexic, an insomniac, and an agnostic? Dyslexics, insomniac, and an agnostic. What do you get when you cross those three? You get someone who lays awake at night wondering if there's a dog.
I feel like your other ones were better.
That was a good one, though. I thought that was funny. All right. Very good. Gavin, do you not get it? All right. We'll explain it to you later. All right. Here's our devotional time for this morning. Not going to be too long. We want to walk through this, though, and because this is something I think everybody faces. You ever dealt with loneliness? Yeah? Ever dealt with loneliness in your life? Here's what's important, though. As Christians, I think we do. We do sometimes deal with loneliness. But having the mind of Christ means always being aware that we're never alone. You ever think of it that way? Having the mind of Christ means always being aware that we're actually never alone. We see this in the life of Jesus all through the New Testament, all through the Gospels. Jesus lived in the presence of God. He stayed connected with the favor of God. That's just what he did. No matter how busy he was, no matter what he was doing, all the stuff that was going on, he stayed in tune with his Father. He did. And this is our passage of Scripture for this morning. And we're going to kind of break this down a little bit as we walk through. But it says, I'm not really alone because the Father is with me. Now, this is out of the Good News translation, so it might look different in your NIV or King James. But he says in the Good News translation, I'm not really alone because the Father is with me. This is why the greatest, I think, antidote to loneliness, the greatest fix to loneliness is thinking like Jesus. Is changing your mindset. When you have the mind of Christ, you're going to be able to say, like Jesus said, I'm not alone because I know the Father's with me. When we feel alone, it's often the result. Now get this. It's often the result of not living in the mindset of Christ. It's all a mindset. It's all the way that we think. It's all about perspective. Do you know that God is always present? There's this word that we use called omnipresent. He's always with us. So when we think about loneliness, we often are thinking about that with our physical bodies versus our spiritual understanding. We're never alone. How can we stay aware? That's a good question. If we're never, then how do we stay aware? How do we know that? How do we know? Well, I think one way is through our prayer life. See, a prayer life is something unique to believers. There are some things out there that people might pray to, but having a real prayer life is something that's unique to believers because we're praying to a living God. We're praying to somebody who is always there, who is listening. We're not praying to some idol. We're not praying to some deity that's been dead or been made up. We're not praying to some star or object. We're praying to a living Savior, a King, a Creator. That's who we are in contact with. It says in Luke, Jesus would often go to some place where he could be alone physically and pray. In reality, he was never alone. Notice this verse, it says Jesus often slipped away. Often. That measures time. There's often. We can't just do that every now and then. We can't just pray every now and then. We need to be in this mindset of spiritual connection, this connectedness all the time. And again, it's a mindset. The same way we think loneliness, oh, I'm so lonely. Well, no. You might be, physically separated from some people, and this is a big deal because of what's been going on in our world. We've been separated. So yeah, I think there may have been some feelings of loneliness. But in the grand scheme, if you're a believer, well, really, if you're not even a believer, Jesus is always there. God is always there. He's omnipresent. But Jesus made it a priority of his life to be connected to the Father through prayer constantly. Constantly. You ever stop and pray throughout the day? You ever just stop what you're doing and pray? You ever think your day would go better maybe if you developed a prayer life or that habit of just stopping and praying? What about if you just continued to do what you were doing but did that in a state of meditative prayer? To pray, we don't have to bow our heads and close our eyes and fold our hands. Sometimes that's nice. But right now, we can be praying right now, even as we're listening. God, would you speak to me as Pastor Eric's trying to get this message across? God, would you open my ears so that I might hear? Father, would you be with Pastor Eric as he's trying to speak clearly? We can be praying right now without even words coming out of our mouth. What would happen if we took more time to talk and to listen to God? I wonder what that would look like. I think some of those issues of loneliness might dissipate some. I think some of those issues of loneliness might kind of fade away. I know that some of those things dealing with anxiety and with fear would be gone. Because often those things of anxiety and fear come out of the state that we put our own minds and our own selves in. I know that. So maybe this fear of being around people and going to church, that's made up. You don't need that. That's going to sound harsh and sound kind of ugly maybe to you. It's okay to come to church. You have the same chance of catching a disease going to the grocery store. Probably even less of a chance at coming to church than you do going to the grocery store. You know, when you don't take time to talk to God, when we don't do that, you miss out on the gifts of God. You miss out on hearing His voice. You miss out on hearing what He wants to do. You miss out on some of the blessings. If it's not God's will, I'm pretty positive of this. It's not God's will for you to be too busy for Him. I'm sorry, I can't stop and pray because I just got too much to do. Do you know that you'll get so much more done if you do stop and pray? You will. I promise you, you will. It doesn't seem like it should work. But folks, everything we know about the gospel is upside down to the culture and the place that we live in, so why wouldn't that work? What if we stopped and prayed more? What if we honed in our focus more? You know that if we do that, if we stay in constant communication with Him, our focus becomes pinpoint and becomes so accurate. You'll be able to focus your heart and your mind on things that matters to God. And then ultimately we understand that those things that matter to God should matter to us, and they begin to matter to us. And we see how He moves, and we feel maybe deeper compassion. We feel more compelled to do what He's called us to do, to serve people, to love others, to tell others about the goodness of Jesus, to tell others about the salvation that we've experienced in our hearts. You know, Jesus knew what His purpose was. I think the only way He knew that was because He was aware of God's presence and He stayed in constant communication with Him. You and I have a role in this kingdom. In order for us to stay in the presence of God, we need to be in constant communication with Him. Are you dealing with loneliness in your life? Are you dealing with anxiety, with stress, with fear? Yes, we all do. We all do, but I promise you, you don't have to. You can be set free from those things through Jesus, through the power of His presence. It's all about prayer. It's all about communication. It's all about staying connected to Him. Jesus dealt with fear. Jesus dealt with frustration. Jesus dealt with it. He was fully human. Any emotions that you have had, He understands. That's why Jesus often would slip away. He would often slip away to talk to the Father. Well, guys, that's it. We have to choose. We have to choose what we're going to do. So I encourage you today, begin to find those times. Begin to make a habit of it. One of the best ways I've found to make a habit of something is to do it 7 times a day for 7 days in a row. Then you begin to form the habit. So for a week, from Tuesday until next Tuesday, work on praying 7 times. Work on praying 7 times. Once a day, 7 times a day. And then you go to Wednesday, work on praying 7 times. As soon as you open your eyes, good morning, God. Thank you for the great night's sleep. I want you to know that I'm here for you. Today is your day. Use me as you want. Father, I want my ears to be open. Boom, done. There's number 1. Maybe you're in the shower brushing your teeth. All right, maybe you're not typical because you're brushing your teeth like this, but maybe inside you're running through your head. Okay, God, what do you have in store? What do you have for me? I want to hear from you. You know, I've got my friend that's going through this thing or that. Find those opportunities and just over and over and over. Every time you have opportunity, as you're driving, most definitely as you're driving, especially here in Central Florida, be praying. God, would you watch out for the other drivers? Would you help keep them alert? As you're keeping me alert, would you help keep them alert? Find those opportunities. And you know what? As we do that, as we stay in closer, constant communication with him, you're going to hear his voice more. Those things that we deal with, loneliness, fear, anxiety, stress, doubt, all that stuff, it's going to become less and less. I promise you. I promise you. All right, guys. Love you. 7 times a day for 7 days. Begin to form that habit. And watch how he transforms you. It's going to be awesome. Have a great morning. Love you all. Appreciate you. We'll see you again tonight. All right. Many blessings. Talk to you later. Bye.